Cal Chucheska.
Oh God. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that. All right. Let me get the formal YouTube intro out of the way, and then we can go from here. All right. Hey, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, Internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you are doing well. And we are here for an exclusive conversation and interview with the one and only Parquet Courts, who have just announced a brand new record. And in lieu of that, they decided to, today, this week, right now, come on for a conversation to talk about that and more. With us, we have Austin, Sean, Andrew, and Max. And again, we're going to be talking about the new record, everything else, anything else that lands in between that. How are you guys doing? Are you excited to put this record out now that you have announced it?
Very.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
And thanks for having us.
Hey, you're
doing great.
You're welcome. Let me ask you guys straight on, like, what has put the band in a position where you're in front of me once again? Because I feel like the last time we were in the same room together, like I horrifically embarrassed myself. Like I think.
Well, we met your roommate. You were there.
No,
but we didn't talk much.
Don't do this. Don't play this game.
We talked to Calchu.
Don't play this game with me, because during that whole conversation, you called me out during that whole thing. I felt like.
Wait, so you're admitting it? It was you.
Well, Yes, I'm
okay,
admitting
yeah,
it.
okay. So I'm not crazy.
I feel like in that,
you were gaslighting me that much, and I knew it was.
Did you walk away from that convinced that it wasn't me?
I got deep into Calgate.
Oh,
after the Cal-Anon.
Oh,
and there's a community of people out there that are going to be very satisfied after watching this, knowing the truth.
Yeah. I did kind of give it up, but I feel like during that interview, I think despite the fact that I was being very silly, I think you saw something maybe human in me, or like crying out or in pain in me, and you were just like, I believe you were saying something to the note of, Anthony, you don't need to do this. Anthony, please stop. It's going to be okay, buddy.
Joke's kind of on me, because if you look at that, there's a hole in the crotch of my jeans for the whole interview.
There's a lot of Easter eggs in that whole set that honestly is kind of a mess. So I think that's just kind of one of many takeaways from that aptly named Weird Vibes program.
I was pretty sure that you were Cal, but then after the cameras were off and I saw you in the green room, and you were still Cal, I was like, maybe he just really is that guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I was really dedicated.
Is he retired now?
No, he's not retired now. I was just dedicated to the role, and our friend Shirley, who was sort of the producer of the show, she said to me that you can't break character in front of them. And I said I can't, and she didn't really specify as to why, but she said it would just be better for the shoot, and she says don't break character in front of them at all. I'll try to have them out of here as fast as possible when the interview is done, but don't act like anything else other than Cal in front of them. And I said, oh, all right, okay. So
wow,
yeah,
it was her fault.
Yeah.
Where's that? Oh my God, we got to get Shirley in here to round this whole thing up.
You don't want to get on her bad side, is the thing.
No, I don't. No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, especially since, everything she had done with Marnie, for example, in the aftermath of that on social media, which, was like one of the best dog accounts on all of the internet.
One time was at a movie that she was at in the cinema, and she took Marnie, and the dog just went up to the front of the theater and took a crap and then walked back. And she finished the movie. Like nobody really said, what are they going to do? Kick a dog out for taking a crap? And it's what a dog does.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, I had the pleasure of being around Shirley in a few different instances with Marnie, and it was kind of beautiful the way that not just the way Shirley treated that dog and interacted with that dog, but no matter where she went, the way the world treated that dog, because it didn't really matter where she was. Just everyone was just kind of okay, I'll allow this. I think if this were any other dog, I think if this were Saint Bernard, I think if this was, you know, the billion other dogs walking the planet, I'd say no. I'd step in. I'd prevent this from happening. But for whatever reason, the world never got in Marnie's way, and I don't know why.
Has Marnie left this earthly plane?
Yeah, I believe so. So, you know, like
Okay.
rest in peace. Yeah.
That's
So much love for Marnie.
Yeah.
I actually just it's so interesting you mentioned Saint Bernard. I just watched Beethoven a week ago.
I kind of watched Beethoven over this past weekend as well. We were having kind of a 90s movie nostalgia moment.
Wow. Do you want to, I mean, so
let's get into this.
Yeah, lots to unpack with Beethoven, because what the fuck? I mean, okay. Stanley Tucci, evil veterinarian who's working for the military industrial complex or something on the side. What is the story in that movie?
Yeah,
he's got a bullet that they need to try out on a humongous skull or something. That's the whole thing, right? Crazy,
absolutely crazy.
What I like about St. Bernard's is whenever you get lost in the mountains, they've got that barrel of brandy for you, like ready to go, which is like considerate.
It says a lot about, like, you know, the state of health and human beings and protection, that when they were thinking of like, what's, you know, what is somebody going to need when we send out a St. Bernard to save them in the middle of, you know, the tundra and they're almost frozen to death. We need a shot of liquor out there, and
go get him hammered, girl. Go get him hammered.
But you know, I will say in regards to Beethoven though, like the whole Beethoven growing up montage set to the tune of Roll Over Beethoven is just like 90s movie montage magic. It's like quintessential 90s montage.
Excellent stuff. Really
Estelle
excellent stuff.
Costanza is in it as the babysitter, I recall.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's absolutely right. I think so. And then,
she plays Lady Marmalade on piano.
Yes. Oh, it's great. Yeah, and the girl almost drowns in the pool, but Beethoven's able to rescue her from like many houses away.
Yeah.
So
Good boy.
With the brandy.
With the brandy. Yeah, she got a little just a little nip barrel though, because it was like a 5-year-old girl. It was nice.
All right, so let's get into this new LP a little bit. Sympathy for Life is the title of this new album. It's going to be dropping in October. You know, first, just to take it to the title, let me ask, like, given the current state of things, which I'm sure maybe the title is in response to, or at least considering, is this a sincere statement, Sympathy for Life?
Yeah, it is a sincere statement, and it's a somewhat of a timeless statement, because that song was written and completed before the COVID pandemic, which I assume is what you're referring to.
Yeah.
You know, among many
a lot of things, honestly.
Sure. And I think there's actually several songs on the record which became kind of, I don't know, more true, for like a lack of a better phrase, since in the past year, 18 months or whatever we're calling it now. And Sympathy for Life is certainly one of those. I think like it's sincerely a song about having a, you know, a common understanding with your community, yourself, and your relationship with other people, and you know, extrapolated to the world. You know, there's obviously the lust for life, and this is more of like you know, a communal expression of that. So it's more of a, I think, sympathy being a major force for relating to and progressing a communal effort. And, you know, that can be as small as your band, or as large as, you know, the global community. It's a feeling.
To kind of roll it back on what you were saying there about the truth of the songs on this record becoming more so since you had written them and or maybe recorded them. How much of the material on Wide Awake do you feel like that's the case for? Because, given the current state of things, that album, socially, politically, commentary wise, just feels more and more relevant every day. Not that things were great when you put the record out, but it seems like everything that you were kind of commenting on there has only sort of like intensified in its awfulness.
Yeah, I mean, I think you find that with a lot of, with a lot of music that expresses discontent and particularly like, any sort of protest music, it sort of it has that, even songs that are like, really specific to like a place and time, that anger and that feeling, that's sort of evergreen. And, it's kind of one of the kind of beautiful parts of it. And I guess we were kind of tapping into that history of, on Wide Awake, especially like that history of resistance music and protest music and, kind of this site-specific anger that, in time just becomes this thing that hopefully people relate to like far into the future. And so I think that, that's true of Wide Awake, just as it is for a lot of my favorite records that have that sort of feeling.
Mm. And is that tone, is that feeling getting extended to the new album? A lot of fans were asking me if sort of like that protest spirit is going to carry into the new record, or has the focus changed a little bit, the tone changed a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's there.
Mm-hmm. And, what about the, I guess like the styles of music that you guys are embracing? You've obviously, dropped this new single, Walking at a Downtown Pace. But I think one of the most defining things of Wide Awake is just how openly you guys embrace dance music on that record. Is there a really strong sense of groove among the tracks on this new LP, or is, they're going to be kind of like a different series of sounds embraced in this track list?
I think a stronger sense of groove, honestly. So many songs on this record were created just from us going into the room and playing for, half an hour to 45 minutes at a time, just completely improvising something based on maybe like a sample track that we were listening to, or just a basic idea that one of us had, and just sort of grooving on it for a very long time, and then listening back to it and figuring out which part of it worked.
Mm. Sean, are the bass lines still going to be sick? Are the bass lines still going to be sick, Sean?
Oh man, some of my favorite bass playing opportunities I feel have I'm very pleased with the bass lines on this album. Yeah, and I think that but another part of like a massive group effort. I mean, I think that like every instrument and everything that we all like collectively came to the recording process with, ultimately it was like something that was a lot different. I think even with Wide Awake was like, that was something we all had like a lot of demos independently of one another that we kind of came together with, or like one or two of us, or like, or we'd get together in band practice and kind of like really like work things out together. And that stuff happened with this record. And like, there are times where we would work together to like zero in on tightening certain things up, and we'd all work together on, sort of everything to a certain extent, and who played the instrument would, like I play the bass lines on the record, but they wouldn't have come together without the effort of everybody in the band. And I think that like, I can even remember talking with Austin, that version, I was like, oh, weird. You guys like do a different bass line or something? And Austin was just like, no, it's just like every bass line you played I can put together or something. And I was like, cool, so I'll learn how to do that, and that'll be my new thing. So yeah, I feel pretty good. I'm feeling really good about the bass lines.
Okay.
As you should, Sean. They're great.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you.
To speak on what Austin was bring up a little bit in terms of the, I guess, the ethos of the record. This idea of like a more communal existence, or I guess a togetherness among either the band or humanity or whatever. I guess what continues to drive the inspiration for that when it seems like, I don't know, at least societally we're more fragmented than we've ever been, you know? I mean, the fact that is the case, does that, I guess, make the importance of sounding that message larger?
Is that true, do you think, Anthony? I don't know. Like, I guess on a political spectrum in, like, you know, the United States, which is very large, I can totally see that. But I sort of feel like there is a, you know, I don't know. I guess I can only really speak from someone living in New York, but I kind of feel like there is an urgency for a sort of collective identity among people. And so I do see what you're saying, but I also think that, you know, people are craving a sort of solidarity, honestly.
And what do you think at this point is like standing in the way of that? As you know, kind of alluded to a second ago, do you think it's a political thing, or do you think it's more of a systemic thing, or do you think it's merely the literal physical distance that's been instilled by the pandemic over the past year?
Wait, standing in the way of what exactly?
You know, what you were saying in terms of what people are craving, that togetherness.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think in a lot of ways it's being achieved, but I guess, yeah, I mean, physical isolation, like the way many people have been experiencing lately, yeah, I mean, that doesn't help for sure. And I mean, you know, ideologies have become pretty fragmented, and I guess in a way that I haven't witnessed before in our lifetimes.
I wanted to ask you also about the cover art involved with the record. I mean, you obviously have been getting more ambitious, taking on more, you know, sort of like illustrative and just general art direction duties with the cover art and stuff like that with the band. And, you know, wanted to ask you directly, like, what is sort of the inspiration for this new visual that's kind of being presented on the front of the record? Because it's quite abstract and strange.
Yeah, I mean, I never want anything to have all the answers, and I think, you know, album artwork should be, you know, kind of curious and intriguing. I did want to do a still life because I haven't done many of those, and so I started kind of getting the still lives as a creative challenge, and this Sympathy for Life, still life thing, it kind of made sense with the title. And so I guess I wanted to make a still life that sort of like tells you the story of the record, or my interpretation of the story of the record anyway.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's a fair point, because it's just kind of dawning on me that me and everybody else, I mean, we haven't experienced the entire record yet. And, you know, when I think back to Wide Awake, as, you know, sort of abstract as the visual on the front of that album is, like, it makes so much sense, you know, the togetherness and sort of like the animation and the movement of the figures on the front cover, I think sort of like links up with the way the music sounds in like a very obvious and a very clear way. So, you know, hopefully that, at least for me personally, that same kind of one-to-one connection is made when I hear the entire record. I guess musically speaking, like, you know, what about the sound of this album in your own mind parallels with still life paintings?
Well, I don't know if still life paintings really carry so much sound for me. I think, well, I guess kind of just breaking down the two main words of the title, Sympathy for Life, you know, sympathy, I'm kind of thinking like, you know, objects that can indicate sympathy, for example, you know, a bouquet of flowers. and life. Still life is typically made up of inanimate objects. So I kind of like that juxtaposition. And I guess I wanted to make something kind of large, bold, colorful, which I guess when I was listening to the record and making the album art, which I often do, it's kind of what I was feeling from the music, was kind of bold, chunky strokes of color.
Are these visuals that you're cooking up around this record playing into the series of live events that you guys have planned soon, and what I'm seeing kind of coinciding with that, like this visualizer presentation of the record?
Yeah, I'd say it's all like pretty holistic. There's kind of a lexicon of imagery that's around this record and the music that is kind of going into all of that. Yeah.
And is it, as far as like what people are going to be presented with if they go to these performances, is it going to be sort of like, a film? Is it going to be like animations? Is it going to be a performance, or a mix of all those things?
I'm sorry.
They are all TBD. We've determined them, but you're going to figure out what they are. There's secrets. There's surprises. I don't know what the acronym for that is.
Okay, so I mean, to kind of get people like excited for them and anticipating them, like, tell me what you can tell me about them without spoiling them or ruining it.
Sure. Yeah, well, so I think it goes, actually right along with what you're saying. Each song on the record we, deeply considered and created these different events based on what we felt like would be a unique expression of the song in which people could participate. For instance, what the first one on the list was walking at a downtown pace, when we had a marching band play the song, essentially debut our first single off the record, or second single off the record, via marching band in downtown Manhattan. And that one's pretty. It was super exciting for us to be able to watch that and have people show up and participate, and I guess the hope is forming or feeling a sense of community around the group and meeting other fans and talking about whatever they want to. Really, we don't tell them to talk about, and for all the other songs, they're going to be different versions of that. That's only marching band, but there'll be other things of different scales and experiences, and it felt like a real extension of our expression of the record.
Okay, so as these events kind of roll out, like, where do fans need to be paying the most attention in order to kind of catch the announcement for the next one? Like, where's the bat signal going to be so that everybody doesn't miss out on the rest of them?
Go to parquet-courts.com, sign up for the mailing list.
Okay.
Watch that space. That's the headquarters for everything.
It's on our Twitch page. It's right below you guys on the page. So if you guys want to head over to parquet-courts.com, sign up for the mailing list, you will be in the know for the rest of these events for the record.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you guys, like, as a band from New York and a band that's kind of like represented New York in a lot of ways for a while, especially over the pandemic year, like, how do you guys personally feel about just the state of the city and the state of things there now? Because there's a lot of talk about New York in the abstract and the health of the city and the position that it's in given again, just the pandemic and I guess the recent everything with Cuomo, do you feel like New York is sort of, I guess like on the downturn, like a lot of people seem desperate to sort of like put that narrative out there, or is it, or is that, narrative kind of a farce?
I think that's kind of baloney, just for the reason that I think last summer in New York, the summer of 2020, was the most exciting summer that I've ever experienced there.
Yeah,
and
forever.
Like that's without any like live music or kind of going out or anything. But there was just like there was something in the air, and it was kind of like a best of times, worst of times sort of thing. I mean, obviously, COVID was happening, and Black Lives Matter protests were happening. And I mean, so for that, there was a, palpable degree of tension in the air, but there was also something really cool happening in a city where, it's kind of, people don't say hi to each other when you pass each other on the sidewalk. There was suddenly this kind of, we're all in this together kind of feel to it. And it's in a way that I had never witnessed, and living there over a decade now, and I guess that's kind of what I was implying when I was talking about this kind of yearn for a collective spirit. That was definitely apparent to me in a way I'd never seen before, and there was kind of this just understanding among each other, but of like this is shit. Let's try to make the best of this situation. And there were like a lot of cool things happening. Like, there's a park by my house that it would just be packed. People would be kind of hanging out there, and kind of like impromptu block parties, a lot of like outdoor things, people making lemonade out of lemons, I guess. So yeah, I guess I would refute the whole New York's dead thing, because it's a city that's constantly evolving, constantly changing. And really, the minute you try to define it and define your version of it, it will change without you.
And given that, I also want to ask, like, with all these years under your belts right now, and all these records as well, and having made it through the other side of a pandemic with a new record and some new live shows planned, like, how would each of you, in your own words, like, state the health of the band right now? Like, is Parquet Courts, as far as like, I guess, like, energy and I want to say morale, is it as strong as it's ever been?
I think so. I think it was honestly unhealthy for us to spend so much time apart in the last like year and a half. Like, as soon as we got back together to rehearse for our first show back, which was last weekend, just everything just sort of clicked right back into place, and it felt so good just to like hang out with everybody again. I think that being apart, I think, was honestly like the worst thing for the band. Now that we're back together, it really feels good.
Yeah, I agree. Totally. Fucking great. It's going to be really exciting. It feels insane to say that we went in the amount of time that we've been a band together, we've never gone as long as we have without playing together. And I know that that's not like, we're not unique in that way to other bands or anything, but it was very weird to have. It was a sort of identity crisis for me, for sure. And I think for all of us individually, it was like we were able to keep in touch, but we were keeping in, and we had this record that we had made that if COVID hadn't happened, we probably would be working on, like, I don't know, we'd be done touring that record. I don't even know. It's kind of crazy to think about. There's like a whole sort of frozen period of time, but now songs we've been like with, and this opportunity to now come out of this time apart from each other and be playing live together again with, it's like, a real new exciting energy that is nothing but positive. I would say
Vibe is thick.
Thick vibe.
Good morale is high.
Morale high, vibe thick.
Nobody's gonna be walking the plank. Nobody's gonna walk the plank. Feeling good.
Okay. I'm going to throw in some viewer questions now. If you guys want to ask some questions of the band, just scroll down. There's a Q&A tab. Throw some questions in there. Our first one comes from Lucas Taylor Music, who's making an observation on a lot of the cool transitions that you guys work in between songs on records. Often does a lot of planning go into those transitions, or are they kind of like happy accidents as you're pulling the record together?
Well, yeah.
That's a great question. A magician never reveals his tricks.
Yeah. I like that answer, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Lucas.
Well, okay. Well, it seems we don't want to spoil anything. Well, it's okay. Well, I am getting.
It makes me think we should start. We should we should do an album of transitions.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking about Content Nausea specifically. There's lots of instrumental interludes on that. The stuff that I made in my bedroom, I think a lot of that record was made in my bedroom actually. And those, I would hate to think they were accidents. I worked really hard on that. And I think there's lots of little details like that on our records that maybe we're kind of forgetting when we're asked that question. But, we have fun. We have our fun.
Well, don't want to spoil all that too much. I mean, I would be ignoring an elephant in the room if I was to ignore the handful of questions that have come in just about how the whole Ellen thing came about. How did that performance occur? What got the ball rolling on that? What got your feet in the door with performing in that studio and having Ellen just groove into Wide Awake?
Well, basically,
Ellen's a fan.
Ellen is a huge Destruction Unit fan, is kind of what happened. And she told her people, I want Destruction Unit on the show. And it just something got lost in translation, and we ended up being kind of the main focus of that. But what you didn't see is hour and a half long, just blazing Destruction Unit wall of noise set. Ellen's freaking out. Whole fucking audience is going nuts. And for some reason, the footage they ended up choosing was the part when we just kind of stumbled into Wide Awake. So it's just one of those kind of one of those things.
Yeah.
We played with Destruction Unit too, though, during the wild noise shit. So was Mary Lattimore. Was there? She was playing the harp through that delay pedal, but there was fun. It was crazy.
Yeah, you got Jarvis from Woods in the mix, famous percussionist Diamond Doug Marvin up in there. Ellen's ahead.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Yeah, she's really into the New York scene.
Big time, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, what she told me was that she was talking with her partner about how much she loves cowbell in music or something. So you don't hear songs with cowbell anymore. And then I guess this is the story she says. And after they're having this conversation, our song Wide Awake comes on the radio, and she felt like it was such a serendipitous moment that she had to have us on her show. And she actually is a fan. She was asking us to perform other songs for her during sound check and stuff, which we did not. Apparently that was quite upsetting to the staff, but
yeah, they paid for that later. Yeah.
I think, yeah. But she was actually very sweet and
turn to an anger spiral going around you. Yeah.
I think that I don't find it so shocking that she would like our music, but
Yeah, I mean,
apparently it's some disconnect.
Honestly, I don't. Considering how widespread the enjoyment of the record has been, I don't find it strange that anybody enjoy the record.
I mean, it's on the radio. It's for everybody.
It's music for everybody. It's really grooving. It's rocking. It's got a great energy to it. It's got a good beat. I mean, what's not to like?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I feel like you guys have hit upon a sound, at least with Wide Awake. I'm not speaking about the new record. I mean, I do like the new single, and I see no reason why other people shouldn't as well. But with the last record, you guys hit upon a sound that is really widely accessible, but simultaneously, at least in a lot of the messaging of the songs, there's something kind of subversive about it too. And I mean, I don't know, is that a formula? Is that a balance that you just sort of happened upon by chance, or was that kind of the goal with the last LP and maybe to an extent the new record? It's like we got to dish out some hits on this one. There's got to be some bangers.
I've always thought the record Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba is an insanely interesting record because the origin point of that band is kind of coming out of the early 80s UK anarcho-punk scene, Crass Records kind of scene. And then they had been a band for, I guess by the time, almost 20 years by the time that record came out, and everything was kind of very forwardly anarchist, super political. And then, and a lot of that record and their subsequent material is too. And then you've got Tub Thumping, and I'm attracted to that idea, that I think that's kind of cool.
Well, I mean,
have you retro reviewed Tub Thumping?
I've not retro reviewed Tub Thumping as a tender 12 something, 13 something. I did own that CD. I owned that CD, and there were some
heavy discs.
There were some great cuts on it. That CD was around everywhere during the time of you joined those horrible clubs and they'd give you 20 CDs for a penny or something. But then you'd have to subscribe to CDs forever. Some people are probably still subscribing to CDs to this day.
Columbia House, such a good hustle.
Yeah, great hustle. Because those CDs were just cheap as fuck. They were just printing money.
Well, right, and when you're when you're 12 years old and you're sending like a penny taped to a postcard in the mail, there's no court of law that can put you behind bars. It's like, return your CDs. Like, no, I don't think so.
No,
I'm keeping closer.
No, it's true. So essentially, like Tub Thumper, like the allure of that concept for you is it to, I guess, to do that one time and just be done with it, or is it to continue to find a way to, I guess, ride that horse until it's dead? Because Chumbawamba, I think, never really brought that idea to its conclusion. It was kind of there for a little bit, but then they sort of abandoned it. As you say, they kind of went back to the anarcho shit.
Will we crawl back into obscurity? I don't know. I don't think if we don't get invited back on Ellen, which I think all signs point to we won't, because it doesn't seem to be a show anymore. Yeah. But I think we'll keep going. I mean, there's something about I guess maybe that's surprising to a lot of people. And there's something about who your favorite band is in your imagination and who you think that, they are. Mm. And then there's something about kind of being in that band and getting a sort of joy out of subverting that. And also this sort of the whole weirdness of okay, Ellen has asked you to play on her show. And there's kind of a, perverse joy kind of out of saying yeah, sure, why not? Why not go on Ellen? That sounds like the weirdest thing we could do.
I have another fan question over here from Caspa, who is a regular viewer and a thoughtful question asker over here, and he has a pretty good one. Talking about some of the writing on Wide Awake in relation to collectivism and the way that for the opener specifically ties into football. In your own mind as a writer, like what made you, I guess, connect one to the other and say, this needs to be like an inspiration for a song, or this is like kind of driving an idea of a song for me?
Well, I guess it all kind of starts with this idea of a team, which I kind of think Parquet courts very much are, and this sort of idea of being these individuals within kind of a larger framework, and how to you zoom out on the fractal of that, and we are a team within a larger constructs of team and individuals. And so it just kind of that was sort of the original point of inspiration for that. I wouldn't go so far as to say the song is like explicitly about sports, but kind of using the language of sports to engage in this idea.
Oh no, we lost Austin for a second.
No, he turns into a
he's lying down.
Yeah. He
when he lies down,
he disappears and he comes back.
That is a very thoughtful question, Caspa.
Well, we'll continue on. I'm sure Austin will be back in a second.
He'll be back.
Before we went live, Sean was talking a little bit about getting into baseball as of late.
Oh, yeah.
Over the past year, with there being a little bit more free time than maybe some people were anticipating they'd have. Did anybody else get into any new interests or hobbies or anything like that to sort of fill the void and silence the inner screams?
I spent a lot of money on Discogs, and I spent a lot of time at home learning to beat match vinyl records, which I'm not very good at.
It's a good cope though.
Yeah, I mean it's great. I mean, but yeah, I don't know how much my neighbors were into it. Got a lot of broomsticks on the floor, but I mean, I chalk that up to just being cooped up, cooped
up and just not performing at your best. But I think if you keep working
maybe
at it,
they didn't like the song. Maybe they're telling me good job.
Maybe it could be a compliment, or it could be they want the transitions to be tighter.
I mean, we always want the transitions to be tighter, don't we?
Any other?
That is a classic, like a Brooklyn kind of complaint. Like, come on, get those transitions better, boy.
Yeah, what that means.
I was already pretty into riding my bike, but I kind of got into cycling a lot more. In fact, if there's any bike mechanics in the chat, Anthony, tell them to get in touch. I got a few questions.
Okay, any bike mechanics in chat? There's
only pros.
There's hundreds of people in there, so if I'm sure there's at least one bike mechanic in there.
Where'd you get into, Max?
Did I get into Max?
No. I'm talking to Max.
He got into me during the pandemic. I was into some other shit. I was into running and stuff.
I only got into baseball 2 days ago. I was doing all kinds of crazy shit. I figured out how to. I wish I hesitate to even fucking say it out loud. I really got into juggling. Honestly, juggling became a big thing for me. I really enjoyed. I like to juggle. Maybe I feel like there was a couple other things too. I had aspired to build a ship in a bottle, but now that I'm vaccinated, I don't want to do that.
You mean like juggling the demands of modern life, or like a clown would do?
Honestly, I'm stopping at the ship in the bottle thing. It's
the clown.
But yeah, to your point, I think a vaccination will do that. You know, I think the ability to go outside and interact with the world will eliminate the desire to build a ship in a bottle pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I live in rural Pennsylvania. I feel pretty lucky to be sort of in a way that maybe beforehand I always sort of felt a little too isolated, and then when everyone became super isolated, I started to feel kind of free. And you know, it's not to say that I don't very much miss the city, and I'm really happy to get to have the opportunity again to go there regularly and be with everybody and stuff. But having the space out here to kind of like, I don't know, get oftentimes a little bit too deep into my mind was, well, sometimes good and sometimes bad. I figured out how to use a lawnmower and a leaf blower at the same time.
You're operating both at the same time?
One time I did it, Anthony, but it worked. It really did work.
To what effect? What was the blowing leaves and mowing grass? To me, just kind of seemed like two objectives that,
yeah,
two different objectives that doing them at the same time, you wouldn't have the best results.
I just want to clarify. John's talking about a riding lawnmower, I think.
Oh,
yeah, the mower, you can ride on it.
Okay,
it's nice.
All right,
but I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying. I was kind of blowing the leaves in a way where I could then go over them with the mower. I mean, it was very dangerous. I felt unsafe while doing it, and there were plenty of opportunities. I mean, I never got hurt. Nobody ever got hurt, but I definitely, at certain points, I think I even made videos of myself doing it, which means I was doing 3 things at once. So that's pretty bad. But it was fun.
I'm getting some questions about some of the, not to take focus away from the new record that's going to be coming out very soon, but also, I guess, some of the solo and side projects that you guys have, been involved with or, have put together over the years. I mean, has there been any sort of like solo music or recordings going on behind the scenes, in the midst of writing the new record or conceiving the new record or over the course of the pandemic?
Oh God! I mean, I did a lot of that. I had a song called "Type Ferrari." I mean, I think we probably all did a lot of stuff like that. I personally definitely had a lot of music that would never in a million years even be, not that it wouldn't be Parquet Courts songs, though it wouldn't be, but was just more like messing around with stuff, hooking a lot of stuff up to each other, making a racket and having fun. And I guess I did do a lot of that. And then I had like, I think one of the things I had a lot of fun with over the quarantine was reaching out to friends who were like all over the place and to just be like, oh, do you want to just like do something weird on this song? Or do you want to do anything like what my friend Kieran, who's an animator, he animated a music video for like a song that I had made with a friend of mine in Los Angeles. It was just like, I mean, it was just purely fun, which I think feels a little, it feels nice to do stuff like that. Even though with Parquet Courts, with the stuff we do, it's still really fun. It's really it's challenging. And it's also what we do, and it's what we've made so much out of what we do in Parquet Courts that, I don't know, having stuff that we do on the side, whatever it is, it's like exciting, but it's a lot more like, I don't know. It's a lot of it for me personally is more about just like learning how or like why to use like a different instrument or a different like technique or something like that. But you should check out Type Ferrari, Anthony. I think you would like this song.
Yeah, I got a few questions about it. People were asking us specifically about like the inspiration behind that track.
Oh yes, Type Ferrari. Yeah, it's about Ferraris.
Amen. Thank you.
Yeah.
There you go. Max's band called Max Band put out a record. Mm-hmm. Check it out, chat.
Max, you want to pitch? You want to pitch the record a little bit just to get the chat's mouth watering on that?
Sure. We put out an EP November of last year, and there's now a vinyl release, which was put out by a British label called Homefront.
Bless you.
So, it's out there if anyone wants to listen.
All right. Well, before the new record comes out, and I know we have, these surprise performances and happenings occurring. Is there anything else that people should be just on the lookout for from the band in terms of like new singles, music videos, or tour dates, anything like that?
Always.
Yeah. We're hitting the road, man. It's going to be, knock on wood, it's going to be a busy fall. And there's going to be a lot of cool music videos. And, I think we've all kind of used our time wisely and, become, really students of our instruments. And so you're going to see 4 just stone virtuosos, just really like, that's kind of what the future of Parquet Courts is us, kind of being known for kind of the best at what we do. I'm talking guitar player cover, I'm talking modern drummer cover, like we're going to be known as like 4 of the dudes with the best chops out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could happen. As far as the bass world goes, I think Joe Dart needs a little competition. So, like, please.
Yes,
I'm tired.
I'm telling you, you have no idea.
Yeah,
juggling and playing bass, they're almost the same thing.
I believe it.
I can juggle really well now.
I bet Flea juggled.
Yes, Flea.
Yeah, he's kind of a jack. Yeah, he's in the chat. He's kind of a jack of all trades. Yeah, shout out to Flea in the chat. And
hello, Flea.
Yeah. John Frusciante is down there too. Just for the guitar competition.
Hello, John.
John's scoping out the guitar competition.
Nice.
I love that.
All right. Well, I mean, that's just the crowd that you guys attract. You know that.
I like that. I'm fine with that.
Well, Parquet Courts, thank you very much for coming through and telling us about the new record and everything, being open books, being chill, being some sweet guys,
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Anthony.
Right back.
Yeah, I feel like when I first met you guys, when I was in character, which again might have seemed really silly and just ridiculous behind the mustache. My impression that day was, these are just really sweet boys, making some good tunes and some good jams. And I think you've all matured into sweet men, frankly.
Oh, I'm happy we're all here together right now.
That is so sweet, Anthony. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Well, you guys have a good night, and we'll see you when the record comes out.
I'm gonna DM you my Nintendo code.
Send me the Nintendo code for live shows. For live shows, can people still get in with a Parquet Courts tattoo?
Always.
We're gonna have vaccination.
Vaccination, and a Parquet Courts tattoo.
Yeah, let's not forget about the most important stick and poke, and that is
vaccination card and a Parquet Courts tattoo.
You got one, Anthony?
A vaccination card or a tattoo?
A tat. Annie, are you blank?
I'm not blank, but I don't have a Parquet Courts tattoo yet.
What are you rocking on your skin?
I'm not gonna tell you over Twitch.
The people want to know. I've got the.
I know the people want to know, but you have to maintain some.
You want to see that?
You have to maintain some level of intimacy. I mean, not. I'm sorry.
A true till death tattoo.
Sorry, no, stop. You have to maintain some level of distance over the internet. You know that.
I get you. Yeah.
You know that.
What shirt is that anyway? Is that Shania Twain?
Oh, this over here. This is This is
Barbara Streisand.
No, this is Barbara. It is a Barbara. It is a Barbara. It's not that Barbara. It's Barbara Mandrell.
It's a Barbara Bush.
Barbara Mandrell.
Barbara Mandrell. She's got some tunes. Honestly, she's kind of like she's kind of like a dollar store Reba. Not to hate. It's not a dig, but she's kind of like the less media savvy Reba. She's Reba, but without the TV show and all the rigmarole outside of the music. She's Reba without the extracurricular activities.
She get me on the show next week.
We have her booked. We got her booked. She's actually in chat. She's actually in chat now. She fucks with the band.
Yay! Thanks, Barbara.
What are you guys all doing tonight? I don't want to stop hanging out.
I think you guys could either play Smash together, or you could start up another Zoom room and zoom over there.
But you're done.
Right.
I'm done.
You can't,
White Lotus.
I'm done.
You can't stay. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay in this.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we use your premium account?
Yeah.
Four of us maybe we'll do band practice.
I have
I have another interview.